Hi, and welcome to today's webinar on taking charge of your learning and development. This webinar is part of the Career Compass program, which includes online learning sessions, podcasts, videos, webinars, white papers, and whiteboard videos, all specifically designed for NAVFAC. Please check the Career Compass Resource Center or CCRC often for updates and new content to support your learning. This content will assist with learning and development within the 20 non-technical competencies outlined in the Workforce Development Strategy. Again, the topic for today's webinar is taking charge of your learning and development in support of the continual learning competency. Throughout this video, you will see a paper pencil icon on some slides indicating a workbook activity. When you see this icon on the top left corner, this means I'll be asking you to write something in your workbook or refer to your workbook. If possible, download the workbook from the Career Compass Resource Center or CCRC before continuing with this course. However, if you are not able to, just use any piece of paper and write your thoughts down on that. You can always transfer that to the workbook later. In this webinar, we will discuss how adults learn, the 70-20-10 adult learning model, how to apply adult learning models, taking charge of your learning and development, and NAVFAC learning resources. The objective of this webinar is to understand how adults learn and how to apply that understanding to your development. Open your workbook and write the answer to this question. When you think of learning and development, what comes to mind? Pause the video and resume when you are ready. Three terms that are related and sometimes used interchangeably are learning, training, and development. Throughout this video, I am using the definitions from the Academy to Innovate HR for these terms. Learning is acquiring knowledge and skills through experience, study, or formal classes or events. We are learning all the time through formal and informal, even social activities. Training is formal instruction on directly applicable knowledge or skills for a specific job or task. Training is a formal event where we are taught something that the instructor or organization feels is important for us to know or do. Think of the different types of training you have engaged in over the years, from attending school to mandatory training at work to this webinar. Development is focused on the long term. Typically, it revolves around broadening or deepening of knowledge to meet personal developmental or future goals. Because this is a long-term goal-focused process, development is usually voluntary. As we begin to talk about how adults learn, let's take a minute to reflect on how we learned as children and how that differs from adult learning. Open your workbook and select the answers that most align with your thoughts. Thinking back to your school days, what did you like best about school? Is it A. Extracurricular activities, sports, clubs, music, drama. B. Exploring favorite subjects. C. Engaging with friends. D. The learning process. Or E. Other. Pause the video and resume when you're ready. Teaching to children, or pedagogy, is a process that most of us are familiar with. Growing up and going to school for our formal education, the process was teacher-centered. Professional educators designed and delivered academic curriculums focused on theory and history. As children, we are externally motivated by our parents and laws requiring children to be educated. As we age, we may have also developed a good degree of internal motivation or desire to learn. For children, the learning process is also tied to the developmental process of growing children. As children mature and our brains develop, we reach specific levels of readiness for learning, like being ready to learn to read and basic arithmetic. In 1968, Malcolm Knowles developed the Andragogy or adult learning theory. This was the first theory to acknowledge the difference between teaching children and adults. There are some factors that are important aspects for educating children that are no longer present when educating adults. Knowles lays out 4 factors for adult learning, which are specifically different from the way that children learn. 1. Adult learners bring an extensive base of knowledge and experience to interpret what they are learning. 2. They are highly focused when the material is of immediate relevance. 3. They also want any new knowledge to be immediately applicable. 4. Adults need to have a voice in both the planning and evaluation of the learning experience. It is important to point out while many of us can relate to these ideas, it does exclude some adult learners. Learners without self-motivation, or those who value a classroom experience over alternative learning, will not find as much value in this type of learning. As children, we saw that our path for education was laid out for us, and we were motivated by external factors. As adults, we know that we need to take control of our development to shape our future. As you determine how you want to grow your career and what skills you want to develop, keep these aspects of adult learning in mind. Adult learners want to be independent with self-directed control over their learning journey rather than having a curriculum dictated to them. Adults need to know why they need to learn something. This emphasizes the self-direction aspect of adult learning. If an adult learner does not see the value in what is being taught, they tune out. Adults are internally motivated. Outside of mandatory compliance like safety training, any other learning activities that adults engage in are because they want to learn something or accomplish something. The willingness to learn comes from a perceived relevance of what is being taught. Adults learn best when they believe the knowledge they are gaining will immediately impact their lives. Adults bring rich experiences that form the foundation of their learning. They analyze, rationalize, synthesize, and develop new ideas or tweak old ones through the filter of their experiences. Lastly, adults learn best when they are doing what they are learning. They find relevance in task-oriented learning to align with their workplace realities. Additionally, task-oriented learning leans on problem-solving skills, which build confidence to overcome challenges with their new knowledge. In 1997, D.R. Garrison built onto Knowles' theory with his self-directed learning theory. Here, Garrison points out the actions that adult learners take when engaging in learning. He states that adult learners will take the initiative to understand what they need to learn, set learning goals, find the resources they need, seek out those who can help them, such as teachers, mentors, or peers, and evaluate their own results. This model is suited for self-motivated learners and works best for concrete subjects with black and white answers rather than philosophical subjects with many gray areas. Also, learners need to be able to evaluate their own results to see how they are progressing and where they should focus effort. This learning process is often technology-enabled and usually has a coach or facilitator to help with self-assessments and identify a starting point for learning. Critics of self-directed learning point out that self-directed learning can be complex for some learners, especially those with low education, low literacy skills, or low self-confidence. Also, this type of learning may take learners longer to fully engage in than programs with stricter requirements. That said, self-directed learning is especially valuable for upskilling, meaning learning a new skill or developing a new competency. Most adults are experiential learners, and David Kolb extends adult learning theories with his experiential learning cycle. This cycle shows how adult learners make sense of their learning experiences and reinforces that adults learn best through experience rather than from books or lectures. The cycle consists of 4 phases. 1. concrete experience. Adults learn best when they are physically engaged in the process through simulations or other types of learning activities where emotional responses are triggered. 2. Reflective observation. Adult learners need time to reflect on their experiences to glean insights and knowledge. Observing demonstrations and analyzing processes and procedures in scenario-based activities like case studies also provide this opportunity. Taking the time to reflect helps ensure that the right lessons are learned from experience. 3. Abstract conceptualization. The real value of experiential learning comes when learners decode abstract concepts from their reflection and relate them to their realities. Without this step, lessons will not be applied. In other words, we would not learn from our mistakes. 4. Active experimentation is hands-on doing, stretch assignments, rotations, filling in for our supervisor, or other activities that allow learners to apply what they have learned. In your workbook, answer the question, what was the best or most impactful learning experience that you have had? Pause the video and resume when you're ready. The 70-20-10 model for learning and development is widely used in learning and development activities. It was developed in the 1980s by Morgan McCall, Michael Lombardo, and Robert Eichinger, who were working for the Center for Creative Leadership, researching the development experiences of successful executives and managers. What they found was that 70% of the most critical development experiences they had were learning from experience, making mistakes, receiving feedback, and working through challenges. 20% of their developmental experiences were through social learning, such as coaching, mentoring, collaborative learning experiences, and other interaction methods with peers. And 10% of their optimal development experiences were traditional formal instruction and other educational events. When most of us think about our development, we think of formal training first. What this model shows us is that we should think beyond the classroom when planning our development and look for opportunities to learn on the job and to engage with mentors and peers as well as formal learning activities. As you continue your learning and development journey, think of engaging each type of learning process with each activity. Right now, you are engaging in a formal learning activity, so make sure you engage this learning by creating your individual learning plan and engaging in social learning by talking with your supervisor, mentor, and even peers about it. We have talked about how adults learn and have looked at the 70-20-10 model for how to engage with adult learning practices. Now we are going to talk about how you can apply these models so you can take charge of your own learning and development to grow your career. Our career journey can take us in many different directions and into a variety of roles. But to have the career that we want, we have to take control of our development and the direction in which we want to go. Regardless of where you are in your career right now, what makes you successful and might get you promoted may not be enough to make you successful at the next level. This is a very frustrating and often a difficult lesson for many people to learn because we want to keep doing what made us successful. This is why so many new managers continue to hang on to project work or micromanage their teams. What you need to do is identify the skills required to get to the next level and set out to develop them. It is important to remember as you make your development plan to include a mixture of formal learning activities, on-the-job tasks or stretch assignments, and social learning such as with a mentor or coach. The first step is to decide where you want to end up. In other words, start with the end in mind. When you know where you want to go, it helps to clarify decisions about which path to follow. And if you suffer a setback, you still know the direction you need to head. Once you know where you want to get to, you need to identify the next step to take you towards your goal. Figure out what skills are needed at the next level. Some of these will be obvious, like specific technical or specialized skills, but others may be more nuanced and you may need to engage with your supervisor or find a mentor to help you identify some of your skill gaps. The Employee Competency Assessment, or ECA, is a great tool for identifying skill gaps available on the Career Compass Resource Center, or CCRC. Use your ECA report to develop an Individual Development Plan, or IDP, also available on the CCRC. While completing your IDP, you will need to answer, what resources are available to you to help you along the way? With the resources identified, plot your course to engage them, and start learning to put yourself in a position that shows you are ready. Answer the following question in your workbook. What is your long-term career goal? If you are not sure, or if you do not have a clear long-term end goal in mind yet, that is okay. But I would challenge you to think of where you want to be in 5 or 10 years. This should be far enough into the future that you need to follow a plan to make it a reality, but not too far that the time is overwhelming. Most of us change careers a couple of times in the span of our working life. So if your goal is to change focuses, that is okay. The key is to be honest with yourself. Knowing where you want to go enables the development of the plan to get you there. Pause the video and resume when you're ready. With your goal set, the next step is to identify your next move. What do you need to learn or develop to make that next step? How and where can you learn it? Remember to think beyond the classroom. Get some feedback from your supervisor or a mentor on what skills you need to strengthen to move up in your career. Sometimes the next step is a lateral move, broadening your knowledge and experience in your field. Whatever direction it may be, it is essential to identify where you want to move to next, so you can prepare yourself for the next opportunity. Pause the video and in your workbook write down what you want your next step to be. When you are finished, restart the video. Once you know where you want to go, you must identify the skills and competencies you need to succeed. When looking at the next step in your career, it is important to understand what technical or operational skills and knowledge you need for that role. It is also crucial for you to understand what non-technical skills you will need to be effective in that role. Every job today involves working around and with other people. Taking time to learn effective communication skills, conflict management, and influencing skills are just as important and often more important than technical skills, especially for those who aspire to be seen as leaders. In your workbook, answer the question, how do you identify which skills you need to develop to be successful at the next level? Pause the video and resume when you're ready. When taking control of your learning and development, it is important to understand what tools and resources you have at your disposal. Engage with your supervisor about your career development and goals. Get their feedback on what skills you need to hone and how to develop them further. Your local BD17 is your learning and development advocate and your link to NAVFAC learning development resources. Career Compass is there to provide you with tools, materials, and guidance to navigate your NAVFAC career better. The Career Compass Resource Center is an online source of information that provides NAVFAC civilian employees at all levels access to personal and professional growth and development opportunities. The Career Compass Catalog is an online tool that provides you with information to help you take ownership of your professional development. It identifies options to assist in planning and creating a successful career path within NAVFAC. Using this information, you will develop a more robust competency-based individual development plan, or IDP. The Career Compass is where you will find the workforce development resources and tools available to NAVFAC employees. On this site, you can launch a video laying out the resources available to you. There is also a link to the Career Compass Resource Center, or CCRC. The Career Compass Resource Center is where you can find the Career Compass catalog of more than 100 different learning activities for planning your career development path, leadership development program information, podcasts, webinars, whiteboard videos, and other content tailored to specific non-technical workforce development competencies. The steps to participating in Career Compass are: 1. Self-assessment using the Employee Competency Assessment, or ECA. This is a short online survey for you to assess your proficiency with the 20 non-technical competencies. 2. The Individual Development Plan, or IDP. This is where you can use the results from your ECA to identify how you want to grow and develop using the resources available through the CCRC. And 3. Engage in learning and development activities to pursue your development and career goals throughout the year. The Career Compass catalog includes a list of formal training courses offered to support both technical and non-technical development across NAVFAC. It also provides learning activities that focus on the 20 non-technical competencies identified in the NAVFAC Workforce Development (WFD) Continuum. Definitions for each of the 20 competencies, including their proficiency levels, are defined on this page. The Career Compass catalog also serves as a resource for supervisors and leaders as they assist employees in their efforts to enhance and prioritize the development of specific competencies. Taking control of your career requires you to take control of your learning and development. You have seen the research on how adults learn. Now, apply that understanding to your own development to empower yourself to build the career that you want. Clarify your end goal, identify your next step, and what skills, both technical and non-technical, that you will need to be successful there. Take the ECA and work with your supervisor or mentor to identify any skill gaps and address them with your IDP. Use the Career Compass, CCRC, and CCC to put your plan to work. Pause the video and give yourself a moment to reflect in your workbook on what stood out for you in this video and what is something you will do moving forward to take control of your learning and development. When you are finished, restart the video. Thank you for participating today. Be sure to follow the instructions on this page to submit your self-certification for this course. If you are using your personal phone with the QR code, please put your work email into the body of the email so the admins can give you the certification credit. Thank you for watching this video. We hope that you gleaned useful and helpful information. If you have any questions, please contact your civilian training advocate or contact HQ's BD17 at NAVFAC HQ Total Force Development at us.navy.mil.